Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of From the Heart. I'm the host, Chloe Trca, and this is a podcast where we talk all things health, wellness, business, mindset, lifestyle, anything that's on my heart, I like to share with you guys. And this last week, I think I have realized how important it is to have a well-balanced routine. I am at the busiest point in my life. I just launched another company with my two best friends, Alora, the Alora Collective, Alora Lifewear. And I'm still doing both my podcasts. I do online coaching. I do content creation. I'm a busy girl. I do a lot of different things. And I'm also trying to continue being like the healthiest, most just joyful version of myself. And that comes with taking action and being consistent and being very aware of the habits that I do and what I'm doing to allow myself to feel my best every single day and to be able to show up as my best self. That's the most important thing. I always say the reason I move and I feel the way that I do is so I can feel my best. And I do that to give my best to my loved ones, to you guys, to anyone in my life, because I want to be the best version of Chloe that I can be every single day. And so in honor of that, I decided to write down 10 ways that I maintain a healthy, wellness-based lifestyle. I think maintenance and just longevity of your lifestyle is what's so important. You can do a crash diet for 30 days. You can do something for a short amount of time, probably anything for a short amount of time. But what's really important is to make things sustainable. And there's different things, like, for instance, I'm on 75 hard. That's not sustainable. The things that I'm doing in 75 hard isn't meant to last forever, but I utilize it to create habits that are sustainable. So for instance, there's like a diet that I'm following for 75 days straight, and it's to eat whole food based. I did that because I wanted it to teach me how to better navigate eating whole food based and see how it made me feel, really like hone in, challenge myself, test it, and kind of use it as like a case study on my own body and just see how I react. And it's showed me how much better I feel, how simple it really can be. I think I feared the difficulty in it, the challenge of like, oh, when I'm, hungry and I'm not home to have my food, like, what do I do when I'm ordering out? Or what do I do when I'm on date night out with Kyler? Or what do I do when I'm with my friends? And it showed me that it's really not that tough. I don't feel like I'm restricting. I truly feel my best self. And now I know I have a sustainable approach to it going forward. And if it wasn't something sustainable and I was like, struggling through the 75 days, I would obviously pivot, make adjustments. Anyway, I just think sustainability is the key to getting to where you want to go and then to stay there. People always say, for instance, losing weight is the easy part. It's maintaining the weight loss. That's the hard part. Because you can be on this like high from losing weight or even gaining weight, gaining muscle, whatever it may be. You'll be like on a high and you're kind of focused on that hyper focus, but you can't be hyper focused on something forever. So you have to create habits. You have to create steps. And it just has to become habitual and has to become part of your lifestyle to maintain it forever, because you can't be hyper-focused, top of mind on these things all the time. They just have to be like second nature. And for them to be second nature, they can't be super rigid. They can't be super difficult. It has to be well-balanced. And anyway, I wrote 10 ways to just help with that, to help build consistency with a healthy, wellness-based lifestyle, the lifestyle that I live, because I know a lot of you probably have been like me in the past and you kind of yo-yo back and forth with, you're super good, you feel great, you're killing it in the gym, you're killing it with your diet, and then you go on a trip or life happens, you get busy, it's finals week, something happens, you haven't been to the gym in 5 days, you're literally door dashing food to your dorm because you don't have the time and energy to make food. Whatever it is, there's highs and lows in life, and I've went through them. I have been through highs and lows, and I have learned how to maintain the lifestyle that I feel my best throughout that. Because if you are in a lull, if you are in a low moment, if you are in a stressful moment, whether that's a good job interview or you just lost your job or you're studying for finals or your boyfriend just broke up with you, you still want to have these like automatic, sorry, someone's leaf blowing outside. That always happens when I'm podcasting. Oh, it's so loud. Okay, we're back, you guys. The leaf blower has furthered his way down the road, so hopefully it's not going to be in the back. Anyway, but back to what I was saying is, when you're in these low moments, these valleys, these struggles, it's really important to have that just natural, instinctual, habitual behaviors to make yourself feel good. To, when you're not feeling good, you can still do the things that help aid in that. Because I think it's really hard when you're not feeding into your wellness, you're not feeding into your lifestyle and your health, and overall well-being when you're in a low. I think that's the most important time to be like hammering into these. Obviously, rest when you need rest, give yourself grace, give yourself stillness when you need that. But I think these little things are still really, really important. And we most often want to neglect these when they're the most important. So it's easy to do these things too when you're feeling good, when you're feeling great, but it's hard to do them when they're the most important. Anyway, number one way to maintain a healthy, wellness-based lifestyle is to create flexible routines. Emphasis on flexible. So I used to be the most rigid human being ever. I had this like all or nothing mindset. If I couldn't get to the gym at the usual time, it just like wasn't going to happen for the day. And I was like, oh, but I always like would still make it work because let's be real. I went to the gym like 6 days a week. I've always been a very disciplined, consistent human being, but I know some people kind of have this all or nothing mindset. And if it doesn't go to plan, it's just like all plan is out the window and there's just no direction. So it's like learn to be flexible with your day, with your routine, even week to week. That's something that I've had to really work on and that I've noticed has been very, very helpful is like, just because you're not following your plan exactly to a T, how you organized it and set it out to be, doesn't mean you still can't accomplish it. So for instance, I'm following Runna's like 8-week Get Fit plan, and it's a running program that I use. If you want to try it out, code Chloe will save you. Actually, no, it'll give you 2 weeks free, so you can trial it. But I love it, and I've pretty much been doing this program just to get faster because I'm not training for a race. I don't have this like super rigid, strict plan I need to follow. Obviously, there's different seasons of life when you need to be more rigid, but if you're in a season of life or this is, affecting something that isn't as strict and rigid as like a program to get you to race day, or if you're bodybuilding, you're competing for a show, like you have to be very strict with those. But like me, I'm not competing for anything. I truly am just running and I'm moving my body to feel good and to just stay healthy. And because I truly enjoy it. Anyway, this plan has a way to organize it. So obviously it's 8 weeks, like I said, and then I selected how many days I want to run and I selected what days I want to run. So I run like Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. Long runs on the weekend, Tuesday, Thursdays. I try to do it to like match up my hair washing routine, to be honest, and like filming and all of this. It's very specifically organized. So it's like a lot of me wants to not obviously merge off of this because it is created to aid in like the most efficient, proficient way for me to accomplish it. Anyway, life happens. Okay. We get busy. I have been traveling. Kyler got sick. I was trying to stay away from getting sick. So I really cut back on training and I just wanted my body to be like healthy and chill. So I didn't do anything super intense, which this is a pretty intense program that I'm following. These workouts are difficult. So I didn't run for like a week. And then I was in Miami for a week. And then my friend was in town for a week or like a couple, 4 days. And then I finally got back to it. So it was like 3 weeks of craziness. I wasn't following it strictly, but when I could get them in, when I could get the runs in, I was still doing it. So I was still getting these things done, but I was being flexible with it. It wasn't an all or nothing mindset of like, oh, we're just going to skip week 6. It's like, no, I'll do at least one of the runs when I can this week, and then I'll finish the other ones next week. And I still am like getting through the program. It's just not exactly in the specifically organized way. And that's okay. I used to not understand that. I used to be like, you know what? If I can't follow it perfectly, I'm not doing it. But like, that's not sustainable. That's not maintainable because like I said, life happens. You're going to travel. There's going to be sickness. You're going to be busy. People are going to come into town. Like your priorities are going to shift and that's okay. But just understand like flexibility is one of the most important things I think to sustainability because you got to learn to adapt and you have to be okay with adapting. Number 2 is find a variety in ways of moving your body. So like I said, this is based on like health and wellness, and exercise is a huge aspect and a huge part of that. But I think the most sustainable thing is finding variety in training. I used to be a strict gym like lifter, practically bodybuilder. Like I was lifting heavy weights 5-6 days a week. I was doing a couple HIIT workouts. I had like one cardio and air quotes if you're not watching this, day a week. But I was in the gym 6 days a week. Like I did not miss. It was so consistent, which I think is important. But I was getting burnt out. And then I wasn't really going into the gym with like full effort. It was, oh, I just go and get through the motions, do the lift, leave. And that's what burnt me out. And I was like, yeah, I'm training without any intention, without any excitement. And that's kind of essentially what led me into training for half marathon, which made me fall in love with running. And then I was like, wow, I really like doing a variety of things. I like one day going to the gym and lifting, and then I like running the next day because it would make me excited to do the opposite because it was something new. And it wasn't just like a monotonous, every day's the same kind of feeling. And I learned like, oh, like it's a lot more enjoyable when there's variety. And then I ended up doing hot works a few years ago when I was back in Iowa, and I was like, wait, that's kind of fun. I have 3 different things now. And I canceled that obviously when I moved to Arizona, and then I was just running and lifting. But then recently, talked about it many times, I started doing solid core. I do that twice a week now. And I love my routine. Honestly, I won't lie though, because I did just talk about this on my Instagram story. I'm in a season right now of really dreading lifting for some reason. When I'm there and I'm doing it, I really enjoy it because it's something I do truly love and I have a passion for. And I think that's why years ago I could do it 6 days in a row and not get burnt out until the very end of it. But I do really enjoy lifting. I think it's fun. It's therapeutic. I feel good when I do it. But I'll get to the reason that I'm kind of dreading it later on in the episode because I figured out a way to avoid that. But I am loving my routine because it's very flexible. The days I go to solid core vary. The days that I run vary. The days that I lift vary. But it's so much variety that I don't dread going to the gym to lift as much as I would if it was like every Tuesday I have to do this. Every Thursday I have to do this. Every Monday I have to do this. It's like I base it a lot upon how I feel because as women, I know most of you listeners are women, we change week by week based on our cycle. And like, I have all the energy in the world some days. Some days, like I run and I feel like I have bricks on my feet. So I don't really run as much that week. And I do more solid core and I do more walking because that's another thing I do is I pretty much go on a 45-minute walk every single day because I'm on 75 hard and that's one of my workouts. And so I love walking, but I even give myself the flexibility and the variety to just walk twice in one day instead of going to the gym if I'm tired. But like with this flexibility and variety in my training, it has led me to having the most sustainable, consistent routine ever. Like I always get in my 2 workouts. I always get in my 2 workouts a day. It's really not been a challenge for me. I'm like 51 days into 75 hard, and there's been like 2 days that it's been like kind of a grind to get them done. And it's because I was traveling those days. Otherwise, like day to day, it has been very sustainable, very maintainable. And I'm like, it's because I don't stress about being so rigid and falling off a program essentially. And I have variety because I enjoy, like I get excited, like, oh, I haven't been to solid core in a couple of days. I'm going to go. And it's such a different style of training than weightlifting, and running is obviously so different than both of those. And then lifting is just kind of like the OG, like fun thing. And it's very important for like anti-aging and just overall health and wellness benefits. Like having muscle is important. So I feel like I have had such a good variety and I'm truly like loving it. And then number 3 is understanding that this is a lifestyle we're trying to create and maintain. So your hobbies and other things in your life also kind of have to reflect that. And 2, it makes it so much easier to make it sustainable because when you're doing things that contradict like your goals and things that make you feel good, it's going to be really difficult to maintain because it's like, it's going to kind of create that all or nothing mindset of like, oh, do I go party with my friends and binge drink and eat like crap and have pizzas and sodas and whatever. And not that you can't do that every now and then, but it's like when you're going back and forth, like on the weekends, I'm super, super party crazy, don't take care of my body. And then on the week, I'm like super strict and rigid. Like that's not sustainable and maintainable and healthy. Okay. Like it's just not. I think if you go I don't drink really ever. Like I wouldn't say I'm sober because I'm sure some point in my life I'll have a glass of wine at like a dinner, or I don't know, if Kyler and I like celebrate something, maybe I'll get a little cocktail. Like I have no desire to drink, but I just want to make that very clear. Like I'm not stating that I'm sober, but like it's not part of my life. Like it's a very rare occasion, maybe a few times a year I'll have a drink, but I haven't had one since. I can't even tell you. Like it's been like over 6 months for sure, probably almost a year. But anyway, again, if you aren't trying to like live a sober life, I still think it's important to like minimize that because it's hard for your mind to like bounce back and forth between like 2 different worlds. One where you're taking care of your body and focusing on your wellness and focusing on your health and well-being 5 days a week. And then on the weekends, you just like all that goes out the window. And it's like kind of like a binge cycle in a sense. It's like you restrict so much during the week of eating super healthy and not drinking, and then you go crazy wild on the weekends. Like it's a yo-yo thing. And I've been there, you guys. I've never been a huge drinker like consistently, but like even when I would party with my friends, like college, like early college, I didn't like that. I'm like, you know what? I feel like I have to like not be myself and be myself. And it was just really confusing on my body, on my mind, my routines. Like I didn't like it. And so since really removing that aspect of my life and just full-fledged creating a lifestyle that's sustainable and I'm like on the same track, it's so helpful. So like finding hobbies that aid in your goals and what you want wellness and health to look like for you is really important. So like just keep that in mind because I just think people really restrict certain things and then they go crazy. But it's like if you allow yourself like a glass of wine, I don't know, on a Saturday night dinner date or like a little treat here and there, like that's okay. I'm not saying to never do that, but like don't just go all or nothing where it's like you don't do anything during the week and then you go crazy on the weekend. It's like sprinkle it in rather than like throw it all in like 1 or 2 days. Okay. Number 4 is incorporate your friends into your lifestyle. I have another point that's similar to this at the very end, but what I mean by this is it's so maintainable and sustainable when you can like bring everything together is the best way I can explain it. Like all my friends are very similar to me, as in like we have very similar lifestyles. We like to move around. We like to eat the same type of foods, and we have like the same like morning and night routines, very similar. Like we like to go to bed early, wake up early. We eat similarly. We move our bodies similarly. So it makes it so easy when our hangout can be like me and like 4 of my friends tonight are going on a little sunset walk together. Like that's us hanging out, having girlfriend time, but we're like getting in exercise, we're getting in movement, and it like aligns with my lifestyle. It would be hard if my friends were like, yo, let's go to happy hour tonight and sit and drink. Like that doesn't align with my lifestyle. Again, I'm not coming at the people who do, if you enjoy that, like that's your choice, that's your lifestyle. But for me, what I'm saying is like find people that align with your lifestyle. And it just makes it so much easier because it's hard. It's hard in your early 20s. I think any point in life, we just get busier and busier, but like implementing social time and then having you time and then having time with you and like your significant other and then focusing on work and then focusing on your well, there's so many things to focus on and not enough hours. So when you can kind of like habit stack too, it's really helpful. Or if you just like want to go grab food with your friends and like you like eat similarly, it's so helpful. So having the right people in your life, again, I'm kind of getting into this next episode. I'll save more of what I'm going to say for later, but just find ways to incorporate friend time that aligns with your goals. Again, like I'm switching my gym membership because I've been dreading lifting, like really odd. It's weird to me, but I kind of sat with myself. I'm like, why is this happening? Like you love to lift. That used to be your favorite day of the week at the gym. Like what's changed? And then I was like, oh, my 2 best friends here lift at one gym and it's the same brand. It's not the same location, but like the same chain that Jake and Kyler lift at. I am the only sole lone wolf that works at an EOS. And I'm like, why? Like that's just what Jake and I like started when we came here. But then when he moved with Kyler, they didn't have an EOS. So we switched gyms. And now I'm like the only one going to EOS and I never get to work out with my friends. That was my favorite thing to do with Kyler. That was like one of the first things we did together when we started dating was going to the gym. We'd either go run or we'd go lift together, the bonding moment. And I love to go live with my girlfriends. Like I used to do lift with Taylor all the time when I lived back in Iowa. I used to lift with some girls in college. Jake would come like lift with me. That's like my favorite thing to do. So why would I want to do it with the people that I love? And it's so much more fun when you can like make it a hangout, like I was saying. And so now I'm switching my gym membership to like join them. So I'm like, oh, like, it's just going to be so much better because I'm going to look forward to it. I get to be with my friends. It's so much more fun with community. Like I love being around people. I can go with Kyler now and we can do that as something together because it was kind of a challenge in our relationship of he's like a night lifter. I'm a morning lifter. One, there has to be a little bit of compromise. We've learned of like some mornings we'll go and he just has to wake up early and go. And sometimes I'll just wait and lift at night so we can do it together. But we were like, it was so much easier at the beginning of our relationship because the gym location he went to, he could bring a guest for free every single time. And so I'd always go with him and it was so simple. But now that we go to different gyms and he goes to a different gym, he doesn't have that privilege. And so we don't live together and it's like hard because then it's like, when do we hang out? Like he's going to go to the gym at night. I don't want to take that away from him. But then it takes into the time we get to spend together, whole thing. But I'm like, this is solving multiple problems by just implementing it into our like time together, like with my friends and with Kyler. Like I'm going to see my friends more now because we'll lift together. And then I'm going to see Kyler now more because we'll to lift together as well. Anyway, moving on to number 5 is, for me, the thing that has been the most sustainable, the most maintainable approach to eating is eating whole food based. Okay. I have struggled with eating and finding the right thing for me. I've always been an intuitive eater, but I've still struggled with like volume eating and being hungry and always having food thoughts. And my relationship with food has kind of been like up and down forever. The only thing, you guys, the only thing that has actually worked for me is eating whole food based. I don't track. I don't have food thoughts. I don't constantly crave things. I eat a meal. I'm satiated. I move on. When you remove all the processed food out of your diet, it actually is insane how your cravings change. And I think when you're not constantly craving food, you're not constantly thinking about it. Also, what I've noticed is now that I'm eating whole foods, I'm not stressing about like portions as much because it's very difficult to overeat like a whole food. Like the processed snacks, that kind of stuff is so addicting, like a bag of chips or some candy or whatever it is. They're so addicting. Your brain like can't turn off the habit of like eating. It's a constant reward mechanism in your mind. You just keep eating it. It tastes so good. But like whole foods, like fruit or some chicken or some rice or some yogurt, like I don't notice myself eating immense amounts of this. It's not addicting. It's like my body knows when it's full. My satiety levels are there and they're awake. And I feel satisfied also because of this. I'm not focused on eating volume foods because I'm not restricting myself. So it's not like, I think when you focus on eating volume foods, the quality of your food drops because you're trying to eat more, because you're restricting. So you're like, oh, I can't eat any of this, but I need to eat so much of this to like make up for that lack. Now that I eat like whole foods, I'm eating like whole fat yogurt, drinking real dairy milk. I'm not eating for volume, but I've noticed that like my cravings and my satiated, I always mess that word up. Like feeling satiated and like full, I actually experienced that. And I never experienced that before. When I wasn't eating whole food based, you guys, I would finish a meal and then I would still be hungry. I would get in the cabinet and grab a snack. Like literally I would eat a meal and then I would go in the cabinet and I would grab the like Annie's bunnies and snack on those or whatever it may be. Like I was constantly thinking about food and just never full. It's the most freeing freaking feeling ever to not have that experience anymore. And it's so freeing. And for me, the way I realized this was through prayer. God revealed this to me truthfully. And thank God, like it's blowing my mind because I'm like, if I would have known this so long ago, I think I would have healed my relationship so much sooner. I would have felt better sooner. I would have had it's just all around, you guys. When you don't have constant food thoughts, your life just is like, you have like a space in your mind and in your day to like think about other things. And it's not like, you're not in like a fight or flight kind of situation with food of like, I think I was always scared. I was always thinking about it. So I was always scared too of when's my next meal going to be? Am I going to be hungry? Am I going to have access to food? I'm like, I literally live in a big city in 2025. The access to food is there. Like there's not a lack of food. There's a restaurant in every corner. I could walk to one in 2 minutes, like anywhere I'm at. But I still had that mindset. And now it's like, I don't think about it. I don't stress about it. I know I'm going to figure it out. And it's just so amazing. So I highly encourage you guys, because I don't feel restrictive either. I removed the processed stuff out, but once you do, you don't crave it. Like Kyler can be sitting there eating a bag of Takis, which are literally like one of my favorites, and I don't even want it. It doesn't even look appetizing. And it's not like I'm sitting there like, Chloe, that looks like, convincing myself that it looks gross. It genuinely just doesn't look appetizing anymore. Don't get me wrong. In my luteal phase, sometimes I want a little snacky snack, but there's other alternatives that I found, like pistachios or cashews or dried mango or some fruit, like there's dates and peanut butter. Like these things are just as satiating. They make me feel good. And then I'm not sitting there eating an entire bag of Takis. I can eat 3 dates and feel great. It's just, it blows my mind. But I'm like, I wish I would have known this sooner. And I really want to like hone into this for you guys. Like if you struggle with food thoughts, again, I'm not a dietitian. I don't know all these things, but this is what works for me. And that's why I'm sharing it. Anyway, I really do encourage you guys to give it a try because it's very sustainable and I have never felt restrictive and I've never felt better. So anyway, moving on to number 6, we're halfway through. And that is set mini goals every single day. I think this is fun because being sustainable and creating like maintainable things, it's still fun to have challenges throughout to create those habits. Like if you struggle with drinking water, the one way to like create that habit, I think, is creating a little challenge to get you in the routine. So for me, like 75 hard, that's not like a mini goal. Like that's a pretty big longevity way to get there. But I've noticed like I now just instinctually have like created patterns and habits where I drink one of my Stanleys by about 11. I drink the next one by about 3. And then I have the next one for the rest of the night. And I get in a gallon every single day and I'm learning these habits. But it's hard when you don't have like almost like a pressure to do so at the beginning to create the habits that you want, because if it's not a habit, it takes a lot of like self-awareness and thought to like create that habit. So setting a little challenge, it could be like a 30-day challenge, a 75-day challenge, or just a little game with how many days in a row can I hit a gallon of water? Utilize those tools, those challenges as tools to create the habits that you want long-term, because once it's a habit, it's like subconscious. Like I don't even think about, I'm 51 days in on my second 75 hard, and I really don't have to think about any of the pieces of the challenge because they're so habitual now that I'm like, oh, every morning I just get up and either go to the gym or go on a walk. And then midday, if I need a work break, I go on a walk. Otherwise, I do one at sunset. And it's so easy to get both my workouts in. The only thing that can be difficult is when I'm like traveling and I'm out of my like normal routine. But when I'm in a normal routine, these things are so habitual. Same with the water, like I said. Same with eating. I just subconsciously know like rice, beef, like a protein, a veggie, some fruit, like it's easy. But it took days to get there. It took consistency. It took like 30, 40 days, for it to be subconscious. But now I'm like, I don't even think about it. So utilize little mini goals to help yourself create the habit of something you want to implement into your life to make it maintainable. Because at first it might be a little difficult, but if it's something that's like drinking water, it's important. And it should be something that's sustainable. You just have to teach yourself the habit. Anyway, moving on to number 7. Why did I put number 4 up? If you're watching, I don't know why I did that. Number 7 is sleep quality. You need to be sleeping. Everything else is off when my sleep is off. My training's off because I'm fatigued and I'm tired. When I'm sleepy, my hunger cues are off. When I'm sleepy, I can't function. I'm just not in my normal like state. And recovery is really important. And you will just feel so much better when you're getting the right amount of sleep. I think this is the one that I'm like really trying to work on right now. I have the diet down and the nutrition down. I have my training routine down pretty well. I have my like lifestyle, my friend down. The sleep, I'm not going to lie. This one I'm working on still. It's hard for me because life gets a little busy and I'll be up late doing something, or I'll be hanging out with Kyler a little too late, and then it throws me off. But I need to create like a mini goal of being like 4 days a week. I need to be in bed by 9:30. And then I can move it to 5 days a week. And then at least it's throughout the week. And then on the weekends, like I'm going to be so in routine with going to bed at 9:30. I'm going to be tired by 9:30. And it's just like your body will like create the sleep pattern. So maybe I need to utilize number 6 for number 7, because sleeping is so important. And it's like, I have gotten better at it, but it's not perfect. But I do know the benefits and I do know the importance. And that is something we need to utilize, because like I said, if we don't sleep right, most of these things reap a consequence, and they're harder, they're more difficult. Moving on to number 8, track progress, not just results. So I think a lot of times we're like, if we're trying to live a lifestyle and it's like, I want to eat better, but it's not perfect, like look back and see all the progress that you've made, and it's very encouraging and it's showing you that you can do it. So for me, like this, I really, I guess, reflect on this in the area of like running. Sometimes I'm like, oh, like I've been running for 2.5 years. Why am I not running so much faster? But the second I got onto a plan that actually tracked my progress and incrementally sped me up and has like forced me to progress, I've realized I'm getting faster. But up until I was doing that, I wasn't tracking my progress. I was just tracking the consistency of doing it, which is great if that's your goal. But like my goal shifted. But it's like progress is better than perfection, and it's not always end goal. Like incrementally celebrate the small wins throughout. I think that's really encouraging with maintaining a healthy lifestyle is like, it's not going to be perfect all the time, but just remember how far you've come throughout. Like, we're going to mess up, we're going to make mistakes, we're going to like go back 2 steps, but then we can spring forward 5. Accept little mess ups, I guess, because they're going to happen. And yeah, just focus on the progress, because that's the sustainable part. If you're only working towards like one end goal, what are you going to do when you're done? You know, like for running for me, it's like I always progressively want to get faster. That's something I feel like you can continually do forever. Like you can always get a little faster. But for me, like when I was training for a half marathon, when I got done with the race, I was like, well, what do I do now? You know? And so I'm like, okay, well, now I guess it's time to get faster. And that's been really fun for me because it's made it more sustainable, more maintainable, because it's like something I can constantly work on and focus on the journey rather than just being focused on the end result. And I think people really struggle too with this, like when they want to like lose weight or gain muscle, they're more focused on the end goal, 1, and not the progress that they've made. But then 2, they struggle when they've reached that goal to maintain it. And so it's like track the progress and constantly like be taking steps forward rather than just having like one big end goal. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on that. And then moving on to number 9, this is huge. Be open to change, okay? In a lifestyle, to maintain a healthy, wellness-based lifestyle, you're going to have to make pivots. You're going to have to make changes because life changes. We change. Our routines change. Our goals change. Science changes. And it's important to be open to change. If we get so locked in and ingrained into our habits that we don't try anything new, like we could be missing out on so much, you know? It's like if I would have never tried to eat whole food based, who knows how much longer I'd be struggling with like my food, my relationship with food, and how I feel, my energy, all that. But it's like I was willing to make a change and try something. So just because you're focused on healthy lifestyle, like try new things, implement new things, see what works, see what doesn't, and be okay with if something's working for a while and then it's no longer serving you and no longer working. Give it up and try something new. It's like I probably won't be doing solid core forever, but the minute that it's like not serving me and I'm like, I'm starting to dread this and this isn't as enjoyable and I'm not really seeing results, I can drop in and try something new and like re-spark that excitement with my routine. I hope that helps. But I think one thing we really often as humans do is like resist change. We don't like change because it's like the fear of the unknown. It's like, oh, what if this throws me off? And what if this isn't as good for me? I'm in such a good groove, but like, what if it's better? What if it's better? If it's not better, then you can still go back to your old routine or your old habit or whatever you're doing before. But it's like, be open to trying something new. And then this brings me to number 10. And this is the one I was kind of touching on earlier, but it's to create a support system. Okay, you need to have the people in your life who are either aligned with your goals and where you're going and the lifestyle that you're living. Everyone in my life is pretty much aligned with me and I love it. It makes it so much easier. But again, not everyone's the same. And there's going to be people in your life who don't necessarily train like you do or eat like you do. And that's okay. Still have them in your life, but just ensure that they're supportive and they're encouraging in your goals, because that's something I've struggled with is the people in my life who weren't necessarily aligned in the same like lifestyle as me. Not all, but some. There was a few that weren't as encouraging and supportive of the habits and the decisions that I was making for myself. And that was really hard because I kind of felt bad. Like if I were to order something different at a restaurant or wake up early when we were having a girls trip and go run, and like miss out on something. I don't even think they were intentionally doing it. So it's just, they weren't necessarily trying to be unsupportive, but I was still feeling unsupported and like misunderstood. And that can be really hard, but it's just been so eye-opening now. Like when I was on that trip in Miami with Maddie and Kayla, the 2 girls I'm doing Allura with, we live very similar lifestyles. And it was so fluid and so smooth. It was the most beautiful, relieving thing because we all would be sleepy and go to bed at like 9:30 and we'd all wake up around the same time. I mean, I was on a 2-hour different time zone, so I was like up a little bit later, but that was okay. We still all were like getting tired around the same time. We all understood each other when it was like, yo, like I got to quit working. I'm tired. We were like, yep, once you're tired, you're tired. Like go to sleep, get your beauty sleep. It's important. We'd all get up and we'd go to these little healthy cafes. And it was so nice because we'd all be just equally as excited to go to this restaurant rather than having to compromise and go to multiple places. Again, that's not bad. It just makes it easier, more sustainable, more maintainable when you're not constantly like having to like struggle through that. And 2, like another thing that was really helpful was because we live similar lifestyles, we went to the gym one day together. And then we went on a run one day together. Me and Kayla went on a super long walk one day together. Like those are all things I do when I'm home alone. So it's like having those, like all three of us run every single week. Maddie's training for a half marathon. Kayla runs like 3 times a week. So it's so much fun. Normal for all of us. And then we all go on walks like every day. We all like to lift. Like it is just so, like it's a breath of fresh air. It's so fun. And it just makes life so much easier, truly. And like even dating Kyler, like that was one thing that was really attractive at the beginning for me was, one, he was willing to go run 10 miles with me. Like one of our first like one-on-one hangouts, we ran 10 miles together. That was like so attractive to me because it aligned with my life. It wasn't compromising, because it's important to compromise some things, but when they're like something when it's something very, very important to you, like your training or like your diet, like it's okay to like not want to compromise those things when you're like seeking a partner. It's like if you want to find someone who's active and fit and healthy, do that. Like it's so refreshing. It's so helpful because yeah. And like him and I eat the same things. Like when we try to find a restaurant to eat at, when we're traveling together or when we're going on date night, we have like the same thing in mind because we eat similarly. It just makes life so much easier. And then he understands like when I need to go to bed early because I prioritize my sleep. Again, he's a night person, I'm a morning person, but we can appreciate those things about each other because we know the importance of it in our own life, if that makes sense. Anyway, all right. I'm going to wrap it up here. That's all I got. Those were my 10 ways to maintain a healthy lifestyle. I'm just going to run through the list again as a little recap. Number 1, create flexible routines. Number 2, find variety in how you move your body. Number 3, remember it's a lifestyle, so your hobby should reflect that. Number 4, incorporate your friends into your lifestyle. Number 5, just eat whole foods. Number 6, set mini goals throughout the day. Number 7, quality sleep is so important. Number 8, track progress, not just results. Number 9, be open to change. And number 10, create a support system. I hope this was helpful. If you guys are struggling to maintain a healthy lifestyle, I really encourage you guys to try one of these tips out. If there's something that kind of stood out to you and you guys resonated with, and we're like, oh, maybe I should do that because I kind of run into that problem where I really have been wanting to, work on that area of my life and I've been struggling for years. Try it out. Give it a try. If it doesn't work for you, again, change is good. Be willing to change, be willing to try it. But if it doesn't work, go back to like whatever works or try something else. But these have really worked for me and they're really important and they've all really fed into the sustainability of my lifestyle and feeling my best every day. Again, there's highs and lows, but when you have all of these just so like embedded into like your lifestyle and your day to day, it's easier to do them when you're not feeling great. And that helps you feel better in those low moments. And it makes you feel even better in the high moments. So I love you guys so much. I hope you enjoyed this episode and we will chat next week. Bye guys.